Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name. And today we're doing an Octopath Traveler 2 tier list. And as you can see, they're all D. Thanks for watching. No, that's just a placeholder so we can see them. So what do I mean by a tier list? What are we actually doing here? We're going to be ranking all the characters. Is that song loud? It's not that loud. We're going to be ranking all the characters based on their early game viability and how strong they are. And this might kind of help you decide which order to get characters, which to use for boss fights, things like that. But at the end of the day, we're just doing this for fun. It's a silly fun video. All these characters are viable. They're all very good. And that is all there is to it. But without further ado, let's start making people mad. Let's go ahead and mix up the order here. Go ahead and mix up the order. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. All right. First up, these are going to be kind of hard for you guys to see, but don't worry. I can see them just fine. You'll just have to trust me. Throne here. It's not Throne. It's Throne. Yes, because I always call her Thorn. I think we might move these around. She is a solid A tier, if not S tier. Just does an insane amount of damage. Great at breaking things, but really, really good at just doing a really high amount of damage. Plus, I really like her path actions. Able to steal items for free is just really good early on. Overall, like if you want a nuker, a physical nuker, I think she is very good, if not the best, one of the best at the least. Now, we're gonna save her for a minute. Oswald. So Oswald is kind of, I think by default, he's an A. I don't think there's much to say about him other than the fact that no one else has the elemental coverage that he does, or the elemental attack power. He's just the best at magic. So if you need a magic nuker, someone that can go ahead and nuke things down with magic, he's the best. He's got a lot of coverage, more than people have a lot of coverage in this game in general, with the side jobs and the inventor jobs and the ability to get summoned. So you can get a lot of different types of coverage, but he has it built into his kit very well, right? It's ice, fire, lightning, and the stick, right? So he's got all this stuff kind of built in. He can do it on command. He also helps you discover weaknesses right away, you know, with the study foe overall, and he does good damage. His ability to switch his AoE into single target is also very good. Just helps you blow stuff up. Good damage dealer. He's a little SP dependent, at least in the early game, so he's not quite as good as Throne here. Maybe he's a B, but I think he might be an A because he's really the only one that fills his role. But we'll put him in B. We'll see where we put other characters. All right. Hikari, I'm sorry, but you're an S tier character, number one in my heart and soul. Hikari, is that his name? It's Hikari. I should have had the names in front of me. I played them, but then I kind of forgot because that was a couple days ago. This character does it all. All right. Now he doesn't quite have the elemental coverage, but his his ability to challenge foes and get the skills. There are some very good skills in the early game. Maybe this will change into the later game and the skills don't scale and he doesn't scale, his abilities are too weak. I don't know. But in the early game, he has the ability to break shields insanely well, especially if things are actually weak to sword. If they're not weak to sword, he's not insane at it, but great damage, good defensive abilities, good offensive abilities. The challenge abilities have huge amounts of effects. Ways he could heal himself, he could heal his own SP. He has a better version of Analyze that Oswald has because it gives you the HP and 2 weaknesses. I don't think you could boost it. I think Oswald can boost it. So, but still, it's 2 weaknesses and their HP. And then in the early game, he gives you the ability to throw money at foes. You could throw 2,000 gold to deal 4,000 damage to a broken foe. That's going to be enough just to cheese bosses in the early game for sure. Very cool character, huge amount of diversity in what they could do. Just powerful, just my favorite character in the game so far for sure. Very, very fun. Really like them. Now we're going to get to something that hurts my soul a little bit. Particio, I think you're going to stay down in the D. I think you're probably potentially the weakest character in terms of what you bring to the table. You're all about, I feel like, outside of combat stuff. Now he's really good actually, and maybe we could even bump him up, right? He's good at helping you collect money. He helps you sell things for more and buy things for cheaper. So he's good at acquiring goods earlier than you're supposed to, which could just be broken enough to make him powerful. but without kind of intimate knowledge of the game, of where to buy, what to buy, where you can find items to sell, things like that. It's a little more just like, it's nice that it helps, but it doesn't change the flow of the game. He's good at farming JP because he has that arrow that lets you farm JP, but I don't know. It's more like it's not more JP usually than you get just by killing the enemies really fast and doing that again and again, but it definitely has some potential for boosting there. And outside of that, his skills are like fine, but they're not that strong. He has his latent power to give him a bunch of BP. It's like, that's like good, but I don't know. I think there's just better latent powers in general. I think he's one of my favorite characters, don't get me wrong. And I am going to be using him in my main playthrough to help me, because I care about the economy side of things. I don't care about combat as much. I care about getting a lot of money, having a lot of money, and I care about boosting my JP as fast as possible. So this is a character that I'm likely going to be doing for that kind of stuff. But as far as combat, I might take him out of my team for boss fights or something like that. Now we've got Stead here. His name's not Stead, but that's what he is if you play COTC. I'm gonna move him up to C tier. I think he's he's not bad. He's not insane. He's got some light attacks, but nothing that he has seems that good. But he is still a decent cleric. He's got okay damage. He's got okay healing. Maybe some of the best healing, like upfront healing, as opposed to regen healing, which is more of an apothecary thing. And I really like this character actually a lot. It might be tied for my favorite character, but I don't think their thing is that insane. Their latent ability might be the weakest. It might be it might be insanely strong, but it seems weak. I think you're going to have him go Scholar for it to potentially be strong. We'll see, but it lets him break shields regardless of what their weaknesses are. So you want the highest amount of attacks possible. The highest amount of attacks I've seen right now are with Oswald and the elemental chain thing. You go up to like 8 hits or something. So he could potentially break 8 shields with his latent power, which is really good. It'd be on a single target. So that could be really good. But other than that, his latent power felt kind of weak. The ability to break 4 shields is not very exciting, so you need to get at least quite a bit higher than that. You want to get to at least 8. I feel like 8 shields for that before that latent power becomes good. But it means he's kind of always there. He can always do a thing. He's got a lot of thief-like elements from COTC, able to break any shields he wants, and able to recover his SP by hitting things. Overall, cool character, but I just don't think insanely strong yet. We're gonna go up to here Ochette. I think Ochette is just kind of a powerhouse, man. Her latent ability gives her access to new skills that are all pretty powerful. Does high damage, stuff like that. You know, it's kind of boring, but it is high damage nukes. I think that this is insanely good early game. I suspect the latent ability will fall off in the later game unless it's, you know, it gets upgraded somehow or it just scales insane. But for the most part, I think it's definitely weaker than some of these other latent abilities. And I didn't even mention Throne has the ability to get 2 actions in a turn, which is really good. Hikari has basically the same thing as Ochette. Not insanely good, but I actually think his is really good because he has an ability that lets you attack twice with the sword, and then you get another action that turn at the end of the turn. So it's kind of like these two combined, it feels like to me. It has a couple other attacks, but that's the one that I like to use. But Ochette here has got a very Pokemon thing going on. Not the only one that has that thing going on. I think the Dancer to an extent and the Apothecary to an extent have that a little bit. And actually the Merchant kind of has it too, where you can get townspeople to follow you around. But I think she does it the best. She gets, basically you go and you get animals, and they have a wide variety of abilities. And you could basically cover anything, any weaknesses, so she has access to every single coverage. Her main things are going to be bow and axe. But other than that, like, again, you have a Pokemon thing. You even have a free Pokemon at the start of the game that whenever you use it, it's guaranteed to exploit a weakness. It's only for 1 hit, but it's guaranteed to exploit either you have the fox that'll exploit a physical weakness or the owl that exploited elemental weakness. So you always have something. No matter what, you can always break a shield every single turn. That's pretty nice. But on top of that, she's got some really flexible abilities with really high damage. I mean, this overall, I've got nothing negative to say about her other than she's maybe not, sorry, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. Other than she's maybe not quite as strong as Hikari. I think she's got a bit more, she's got way more versatility in her coverage. And I don't even know if she needs like a secondary job to really do everything she wants to do. Super cool character. I really like her. The thing is, if another character becomes a hunter, like, can they, I don't think they can capture things, right? Isn't that unique to her, the ability to capture beasts? There's a lot going on between the initial jobs, and some of them, there's the latent powers, and then there's the inherent powers. Like the challenge to get skills is unique to Hikari, right? So another warrior wouldn't get that, which I think is actually insanely powerful for him. Anyway, we're going to continue on here. We got the apothecary. The apothecary, I think we're just going to bump up probably to S tier. Probably unfortunate, but also fortunate in a sense that the apothecary seems every bit, Casty seems every bit as strong as Alphen. There's changes to it, but there are the ability to use concoct to give your entire party BP, and it's an infinite, seemingly infinite resource that just costs money. So if you can give your whole party maximum BP every single turn, or you could fully heal your party, or you could fully heal your SP of your party, or you could fully get rid of all the ailments while healing, or you could also deal light damage or fire damage or any element of damage you want, and that's all just from one skill, not even including the rest of the kit. It just seems like it's a little broken, a little OP. Even though she didn't seem like insanely broken in the early playthrough, concoct just lets you do whatever you want, whenever you want, however many times you want. Her latent ability, letting her do her concoct without consuming ingredients, that's a little probably weak, but it is just kind of like, it makes you not feel bad about using concoct on normal enemies. Or you can just like use it to heal. Like, you know, you're going out, you don't need to go back to an inn. You could just use concoct with a latent ability to heal your whole party up, right? Honestly, concoct is just probably so strong, and that's actually stuck to Casty, so she's probably going to be the strongest character in the game potentially, but I don't think she would do it solo. I think Hikari might actually be the best for a solo playthrough. Maybe Casty would be good too, but we'll figure that out later. I think that's S tier. And finally, we got our dancer. Unfortunately for me, I think she might be D tier. I think we're going to keep her D tier. Now, this all comes down to what other kind of stuff can you find, how well, like, I think she'll scale into the late game way better, but in the early game, her buffs don't feel that strong. Her damage is fucking terrible. The fact that I don't like her character is one thing, but she fucking has this insane latent ability that is going to be so broken. She, like, I know I'm putting her in D tier, but I think in late game, she might become like S+ tier, because she has this latent ability that's turn a single target ability into target all. So you could just find the most insane target single ability and it'll target everyone. I don't think it's going to be usually as good in boss fights against bosses, in a sense. Like, you're not going to use this to like, oh, instead of attacking with this attack on the boss only, we're going to attack on it all. It's probably going to be used defensively in some way. It's like giving the entire party some insane, ridiculous buff. Like, you could even use this with the fucking spring shoes of the inventor to make sure your entire party moves first for 5 turns. And I think that might have priority over breaking foes. So maybe you just like stun lock a foe for like 4 turns, 5 turns or whatever. Like I feel like there's certain combinations that's going to make her latent ability absolutely broken. But in the early game, I just felt like she kind of sucked. She has the ability to get a townsperson that you can summon to the combat. That's okay. And then every time you do a dance, like, their passive will go off. And she has the ability, like Primrose, right, to be using strut or whatever, where it's like, oh, you have a chance to get like 50 times JP in experience, but it's usually just something that tanks all your SP and kills you. But it's like a random effect. You can get people that will like do that, and then every time you do a dance, which you could have attack dances that'll like, oh, it'll buff the attack of a unit. So she's got some decent stuff going on, but I really think she's more of a mid to late game character and not much of an early game. But yeah, that's going to be my final rankings for right now. That is everything for today. Again, just having fun with the silly little fun video, but that's it. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I will see you guys next time. Let me know why you agree, disagree, why I'm wrong, why you're right, and I will tell you why you're stupid and I am super intelligent. See you guys in the next one.